NBC News has actually been doing like interesting reporting when it comes to the struggles that working people are facing. And I think that's really interesting, especially because a lot of the news these days has been very rarefied. It's been highly like political, divorced kind of from the actual reality that people live day to day. And I think that NBC has been doing a good job trying to bring it back down to brass tacks. Um, I have a couple videos from them, I believe, but this first one is just how much is a living wage? A reasonable question. Let's see what their answer is here.
So if
This
Why?
video was being posted.
Why did you just jump around to like 12 different videos? Why did you do that?
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. The awkward laughter, we nailed it. God damn. Technical difficulties.
Hello again, I'm Chuck Todd and welcome to another episode of Meet the Press Reports. Today we are asking, what is a living wage in the United States?
I just indirectly praised Chuck Todd. I don't know how I feel about that, chat.
The answer depends quite a bit on where you live. Obviously, it's much less expensive to live in York, Pennsylvania than it is to live in New York City. And the minimum wage doesn't come close to the living wage just about anywhere, New York or York. The way people feel about their own economic circumstances can also be a factor in how they vote. So we wanted to know, how are they feeling and are they making ends meet? MSNBC's Lindsay Rice and producer Andrew Basson set out to talk to people and ask that very question. What do they consider a living wage where they live? Well, Lindsay joins me now. Lindsay, what'd you find out?
Well, Chuck, we went to two different states. We went to Ohio and Florida to hear from different families sharing similar struggles. A couple $100s of wiggle room, so saving, paying off debt, or investing, those are all out of the picture. And don't get me wrong, their lives are full, but they don't have a security cushion to...
I do think it's very interesting here that, like, they're presenting this information like, yeah, you know, like, their lives are full. You know, they're not being lazy or anything, because their target demographic is not the people who are, you know, struggling with a couple $100s worth of wiggle room laying around in their lives. Their target is the rarefied, you know, upper middle class, upper class folk, you know. So like they're like explaining how people are struggling economically, despite the fact that what she just described represents a good, like, I don't know, 70 to 80. I would even maybe go 90% of the American public. You know, a very, very large number of the American public fall into the category she just described.
To deal with whatever comes their way, from a higher grocery bill to an oil change. Kanika Williams is a single mom of 4 boys living in Cleveland, Ohio. She has 3 part-time jobs, cleaning homes, delivering food with DoorDash, and sorting mail for UPS. She's active at her kids' schools, cooks them dinner every night, and stays present in their lives.
Being around my kids.
Also, as a part-timer who works for UPS, congratulations to this lady, because she just got an immediate wage increase. If the agreement is reached between the Teamsters and UPS, if the Teamsters vote in favor of the offer that was made, she's about to get a pay increase. So something that she desperately needs, from the sound of it.
That's like the number one. So my kids motivate me. I want us to have stuff. I want us to do stuff.
Kanika puts her life together like sections of a quilt, caring for her sons, making money, spending time with friends. Each piece is sewn together intentionally.
When I have a roof over my head, I know when my small necessary bills are paid. Necessary meaning lights, water, gas, insurance, rent. I'm not talking about Netflix or any of those wanted things. Once I have those things taken care of, I have freedom.
Kanika has a medical technician degree, and the rise of gig work has given people like Kanika some level of autonomy. But she reminisces about how things used to be for previous generations. Her mother, Brenda, just retired from her decades-long job as a janitor at an elementary school.
I went to that school when I was in first grade. And that's where she's retiring from. So those
Yeah, water's
30-year
commodified here,
jobs,
Malaki.
those 40-year jobs are gone for us unless we start right now.
It's true. She's right. She's right. You like how many of you guys if you're like, you know, in your 20s or your 30s, how many of you guys know people who are in a job that they have been stable in for like the past 10 years? How many of you know somebody who has been able in our generation to like hold steady to a job just in the time you've known of them? You know, like, I'm gonna guess the majority of you guys don't know that. Like, our generation doesn't have these jobs where you could just show up and do your job, you know, do your 9 to 5 every weekday, then you get 2 days off, and then you're able to retire, you know, from a janitor position. You know, those jobs are now contracted out. You're now a part-timer. You're not a full-timer. You don't get any of these benefits. You don't get any retirement from being a part-time worker. You know, same goes for me, by the way. I don't get a retirement based on my streaming career. I'm just kind of crossing my fingers and hoping that at some point I am doing well enough that I can like save up something for myself. And well, that's a bit tricky now, isn't it? So, I feel this pinch. I feel the pinch of not having like a stable job that's gonna like pay into your retirement. I have one friend who had a lucrative upwardly mobile job at McDonald's for over 10 years, but I'm not American. Yeah, there are no lucrative upwardly mobile jobs at McDonald's in America. Like, none. Maybe you'll reach franchise manager. Maybe. My plan is to just keep typing until I'm dead. My plan is to just pull my little raisin corpse onto screen every night, and hopefully you guys will continue to give me money. That's my retirement plan. I have a friend who's worked for UPS for a long time. Well, congratulations to that friend. Hope they're in the Teamsters. Companies no longer promote from within. Well, yeah, why would you promote from within and have to continue paying more and more benefits for a worker when you could just hire people from outside and then fire them before they like get lasting benefits? You know, that's the issue. We've noticed Gruntcore. I can are you being a little sassy because I answered your last question genuinely? Are you being a little sassy? A little sassy sailor on the riverboat? Had my job for almost 5 years. Yeah. Best case scenario is that you get a job with 3 people doing a task, and after 10 years, you're the last person doing the work 3 people at that task. Honestly, quasi-spec, yeah, exactly. You know? I'm in healthcare. It's a shit show. I moved to traveling. Also, hey, Shanna Kinloch. Why would you not do anything, or why would you not do whatever the system permits that pushes working rights literally to the margin? Because it's at that equilibrium, the minimum you can get away with leaving workers with. That is where your maximum profitability is to be found. For the very reason that your profit depends on labor's pain. Exactly. It's almost like the system we're all operating in accumulates power and wealth into the hands of these machines we've designed. These social machines that are designed to maximize profitability at the expense of everything else, including human life and dignity. It's okay, Kyryu. Chill. It's okay. Based Graham Jack. I know I'm getting old. I've aged out of being a cute little bean. But you know what? That's okay. I've aged into being a hot, sexy MILF. Anyway, let's continue this.
Between her gig work at $20 an hour and her UPS job at $16.50 an hour, both above Ohio minimum wage, she says she brings home roughly $1,500 a month. What is your definition of a living wage?
Being able to afford your bill, your monthly bills, being able to put a portion back for savings, and I think for me in my household, if I was to make $3,500 a month,
What would
Milf and
that
cookies.
extra money, what would that get you?
that'll get all bills paid, a little bit in the bank, and maybe that oil change I might need it. You know.
Union trouble.
The debate over how much workers should get
Like, dude, you shouldn't be struggling to get an oil change in America. That shouldn't be something that you have to, like, break the bank to get. Old and busted equals Riverboat Jack. Old and busty, you mean?
get paid in America has a contentious history. It took decades of strikes, debates, and a Great Depression for Congress to pass a law in 1938 establishing a federal minimum wage. The federal minimum wage was last raised to $7.25 an hour in 2009, and wage growth has not kept pace with labor productivity, so workers are more efficient, but they have less to show for it, studies have found. Since 1980, most American workers have seen modest income growth, but income for the top 1% has grown much faster.
It's almost like automation and technology advances have all of their productivity gains have gone directly to the profit of the people in the top 1% of society. Oh man, that's crazy. It's almost like, I don't know, we could use something like some kind of government apparatus to be able to ensure that everyone is benefiting from the technological advancements we're making as a society. I don't know, just spitballing here.
Everybody who works for a living deserves to be paid a wage that honors the value of the work that they're doing and meets the cost of living.
Michael Shields is a researcher for Policy Matters Ohio, a liberal nonprofit economic policy institute.
For the last several decades, there's been a real disconnect between how much wealth working people are producing and what's being reflected in their pay.
What do you attribute that to?
I think it comes down to power. Larger share of all of the wealth that's produced in our economy is being consolidated by the very wealthy and by corporations as well. Working people are being less successful than they have in the past in bargaining for their share of the.
They can't make $3,500 a month. I mean, I think most months that I've ever worked, I've never made more than $3,500 a month. Historically, I've been lucky if I break 2K a month. So I mean, like it's a pretty common problem.
The wealth that they make possible.
How'd you guys meet?
We met upstate New York.
We were just friends at first. I actually told my friend I was working with that the guy who trained me was really cute, but too short for me. And then we made plans to hang out on a Saturday. And everyone we were working was just like, is it a date? Is it a date? I think we got home at like 1, 2 in the morning.
That's a
Yeah, I
good
think
date.
so,
So
yeah.
you got over the height thing.
Yeah.
When Taylor and Maggie Mendez started a new life in Florida, things were bumpy. Maggie working overnights at Dunkin', making $11 an hour, which at the time was $1 above the state's minimum wage. Taylor was working a factory job, and both DoorDashed on the side.
We went through some hard times, but it built character and it made us a lot stronger than we were before.
No, going through hard times doesn't build your character, bud. It doesn't. I'm sorry. How come they're mainly focusing on couples that have kids and not single couples or individuals with no kids? I'm pretty sure the first person they talked to was a single mom.
Then Taylor got a job, a teller at TD Bank in Melbourne, Florida. A group called Family Promise helped them with emergency shelter and meals and taught them how to budget. Taylor's new boss helped them find housing.
Once I got into banking, I knew that it was that the skies were the limit from there.
But between his job, Maggie's overnight shift, and taking care of their 2 little ones, they never saw each other. Then their daughter got into a brand new school, but there's no bus. So Maggie quit her job to
Okay, but going through Gruntcore, like, I don't know about this. I don't know if you have kids or not, but like, if you're going through hard times, and that means that as a result, your kids aren't getting the medical care they need, or aren't getting like the food they need, or aren't able to get to the places they need to go in order to be successful, like, that's not building character. Those are just walls being artificially erected around your family, and it's not building character. It's just separating them into the poor part of society. That's it. Do you believe that income taxes should be removed? No, I believe that income taxes should be more heavily weighted on the wealthy people in society. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't see hard work as a virtue. I see hard work as a virtue. I don't see imposed hard work. I don't see like you being forced to do labor to be a virtue. You know? Holy shit.
$3,000 this month. Bawahahaha. 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 BWA.
Paladin. Thank you for the $250 dono. Oh my, that is incredibly generous. That's blowing my mind. Thank you so goddamn much. We got an oiler here, everybody. Thank you so fucking much. I literally thought that was like a typo when it popped up. Like I was just reading it wrong, but nope. Holy fuck, dude. Thank you. That's what I mean, and BWA to Paladin Lost. BWA indeed. BWA forever. BWA crew for life. I need to make I've been so fucking busy, chat. I need to like sit down and have a day where I make merch. More merch for the store. We have a few shirts and sweatshirts, and like obviously we have the mug. But I need to like actually like sit down and just be like, okay, time to design like a BWA shirt or something, you know? Enzo, I don't think it said whether or not they owned their homes. Thank you so much, Paladin. Jack, make merch. I've budgeted to get a mug when tax money comes. Yeah, the merch, we got merch, we got prints, we got a bunch of different stuff. I think there might even be a command for merch. Yeah, there you go. There's a link to the merch. That made me sad to hear you weren't making that much. This month has been rough because I missed like 7 days of work because I started off the month doing like the Twitch blackout, and then I had to travel for work, and just like all of the traveling. It was worth it, by the way. I made some great connections, but yeah, the travel really messed with my steez. I'd get a print if my landlord wasn't insane about stuff on the walls. I'm sorry. Holy fuck, Paladin. Thank you. Shouldn't we tax services and goods instead of income? Because then American people could actually afford goods and services again, and be able to pay off a massive percentage of debt that is due to the 97% not being able to afford to pay debt. On top of this, we would actually be able to tax the wealthy as you would like, because wealthy people are able to bypass income tax by paying themselves nothing and leaving everything in a business. They have enough money to fight the IRS. Well, I think the solution to that is just to fund the IRS so that the IRS can fight them, right? Like, the solution is to fund the IRS to enforce our tax laws, you know? Like you're like, oh well, they could bypass it and fight the IRS. Well then let's make the IRS stronger. The reason the IRS is a pain in the ass for the average American is because they only have the resources to go after the average American for like not paying like $25 on their taxes. If you actually funded the IRS, you would be able to empower them to go after the wealthiest members of society who, by the way, this is something I have routinely come back around to. Let's see. Ah, yes. This is from 2021. Just gonna throw this up on screen. Richest 5% of Americans choose not to pay $307 billion in taxes each year, according to the Treasury. Man, that's wild. It's almost like we should fund the IRS so that they can spend their time getting that $307 billion from the wealthiest people who are defrauding the US government and putting more of the tax burden on the working people of America. Man, it's almost like you should fund the IRS to go after people who are willfully breaking the law and costing the average taxpayer. There is no reason this family that is struggling should be paying a higher percentage of their income in taxes than people who are dodging out on spending on paying their $307 billion tax debt every year. I'm sorry. This is an issue that makes me mad. But there's no stability currently in the US dollar because we are not able to pay our debt currently. What the fuck are you talking about? We're paying our debt right now. The US dollar is stable. The reason it wasn't stable was because of political grandstanding by Republicans. The political grandstanding around the US debt by Republicans and the debt ceiling was what caused the US dollar to like fumble around like crazy. The issue around the US currency is entirely self-inflicted by conservatives who are trying to protect the wealthiest people in America. And just by happenstance, the people proposing this abolishing of income tax laws and the people, advocating for taxation on goods and services instead to replace that are conservatives. The conservatives who are deliberately inflicting the instability on the dollar, the conservatives who are deliberately defunding the IRS so the IRS can't get taxes out of the wealthy, the people who are deliberately keeping those tax loopholes open, are the people proposing the plan that you are proposing. So, I don't know, seems like maybe capitulating to what they want to do after they have done everything within their power to sabotage our ability to function seems to be a bad idea. I'm not on a side, I'm having a conversation. Well, you proposed the same plan that conservatives do. I'm not critiquing you. I don't know what your political position is. But I am critiquing the idea that we should adopt the measures that they are proposing after they have done everything in their power to, I would say, sabotage the American, safeguards on our economic system is foolish at best. I think that plan is silly, foolish, and was proposed in bad faith and would be to the benefit of the wealthiest among us and the detriment to people who are working to get by in America. We have no safeguards. We removed those. Yeah, you're talking about removing all of the remaining safeguards. That is what you are talking about right now. Banks are now able to print money via typing into a computer. Pressing X to doubt, my friend. I don't think that is actually the case. Do you mean the Federal Reserve is able to print more money? Because that's true. But a bank can't just magically say that they have billions of dollars. That isn't actually a thing banks can do, actually. Man, sometimes we get a live one, don't we? I just think it's silly to look at a problem like, oh, billionaires aren't paying their taxes, and just be like, well, instead of just taxing billionaires and enforcing tax laws on billionaires, I think we should just change our entire tax system. That just seems silly to me. You know, that seems like foolishness to me. Hannah Reloaded, thank you very much for the raid. Welcome, Raiders. We're having a discussion about the current situation of the American hellscape. And once we make it through all of our content today, folks, we will be going through the Monument Mythos, which will be kind of a fun treat. And if none of you have heard of the Monument Mythos, buckle in. It's a fun time. Welcome, Hannah. Thank you so much for the raid. I hope you had a great stream, and welcome, Raiders. How you doing? Hope you all had a good time. Hey, Clearcat. Also, NB Chaos 1999, thank you for the follow. I really appreciate when you guys hit that follow button, by the way, so thank you very much. For those of you who don't know who I am, my name's Riverboat Jack. I am a trans woman. I am a lefty political streamer. I talk about the news and politics, and sometimes I play video games and, you know, do fun things like go over analog horror stuff. Astral Storm, thank you for subscribing, and you've been subscribed to me for 20 months now. Y'all are amazing. Clearcat, thank you for the follow. Irvin UK, thank you for the follow as well. Hello, everybody. I'm here for the Vosh bad. We will be talking about why Vosh is wrong about a given subject. Who doesn't know the Riverboat Jack? Get on the riverboat, gang. Get on the riverboat. We going boating today. Public Loser, thank you for subscribing over on Twitch. Since I can push a button here, hell yeah. 92% of the money in the world is digital. And okay. Well, I have to work. I wish you the best of luck in typing into your computer to print money. I wish you very, very good luck in your new business endeavor of just manifesting money out of your smartphone's ass. What is this bro talking about? He seems to be under the impression that money is fake. And money is a social construct. That is true. It's just that just doesn't mean it's fake. And you could just like open up a notepad document and be like, I have $10 bajillion, and that make it so. Just hit the print money button. Where can we find the print money website, please? I would love to go to the fake money website to just say I have $1 bajillion and then be able to pay my taxes with that. It seems like a great solution. In money we don't trust, so let's put God on the bill. God. Uh-huh. Yeah. Uh-huh. So, yep. The Treasury Department's Bureau of Engraving and Printing prints the money. Yep. I don't even know what you're trying to talk about anymore, dude. Like, you've gone so far off the rails from, like, should we tax goods and services instead of income tax? And now you're just like going on about how money doesn't actually exist. And you know, I am working towards a future where money doesn't exist. That is true, but it's probably not going to be so for several hundred years at least. No, Fuzzy Chikun. Lending excess reserves. That's fake. All money is fake. That's the solution here. Goods and services are already taxed. Well, Avalon of Babylon, the Republican and conservative plan around eliminating income tax in favor of taxing goods and services is that you would eliminate income tax and then just jack up taxes on goods and services by like 40%. And I don't feel like I have to articulate why that would be a fucking stupid idea. I don't feel like I have to unless one of you proves me wrong on that one. A Difficult Truth, thank you for the raid. Hello. Money doesn't exist. Nothing exists. It's all in our minds. Matrix babble, blah, 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 blah. Fiat currency. I don't think they're talking about fiat currency. I think they're just talking about the fact that money is transferred via like digital transactions instead of like as paper money or gold money, you know, like wild stuff. Rich people would always be taxed on everything they bought, but they can just press a money on their computer, right? The rich people can just press the money button, right? So why does it, like, I don't understand your fucking line of logic here. God damn it. This is silly. This is silly as hell. Also, chat, just a side note. Also, A Difficult Truth, thank you so much for the raid, and welcome, raiders. My name is Riverboat Jack. I talk about the news and politics, and we have been successfully derailed into talking about taxation. There's somewhat of a limit on how much they can pull. How is there a limit on how much they can pull if you can just press the money button? Or was that point dumb and full of shit? And you're just upset about the fact that there are digital transactions to transfer money. God damn it. Is there a limit? Is there a limit? Is there like an actual hard limit on it? Or is there a magical money button that you can press to get infinite money? You can't have it both ways. God damn it. Oh, Avalon of Babylon. No. You see, income tax would not be applied to goods and services. Everyone would just pay the same tax on goods and services. So just everyone would be paying a 40% tax on all goods and services. That's the Republican plan to replace income tax. That's it. That's their genius plan to remove income tax. You wouldn't have to provide proof of income. You would just get fucked by a 40% tax on everything that you consume. It is literally baby-brained horse shit in order to try and leverage the tax burden off of the wealthy almost entirely onto the working class. Yeah, it's not even a tax plan. It's like a child wrote it. You know, it's yeah, exactly, Fuzzy Chikun. Exactly it. Who feels the 50-cent tax on a loaf of bread? The single mom from the video or Bill Gates? Who feels that tax more? To build like what could a banana cost, Michael? $10? The wealthy do not care if average things have a 40% tax on it. People at the lower end of the income spectrum, though, the people who pay, like, I don't know, a paltry sum on their income taxes every year because they don't make that much income, that 40% tax gonna fuck them up. Oh, God. Nothing would radicalize America faster than flat 40% tax on goods and services. This is silly. See you later. See ya. Oh yeah, 100%, Dr. Robotnik. Republicans know. The entire point of that plan is to reduce the tax burden on the wealthy. That's it. It's all they care about. It's the same, by the way, with school choice and the school choice voucher program that they're setting up across America in conservative states. Arizona right now has a school voucher program that is giving every child a $7,500 school voucher that they can spend on the school of their choice. Right? Sounds great, right? Except when you look into it, $7,500 is not nearly enough to get a child into a private school for a year. It's just not. All that it means is that the kids who were already going to those private schools now have subsidized private schools. It is effectively a $7,500 handout per child in a wealthy family. Because if you're not going to go to a private school, you're not going to be using that school voucher, and you're instead going to be going to a public school. And yeah, private schools that are run for profit can hike their rates by that much. Or by, I'm going to assume probably a little bit less than that much, because, well, you want it to feel like a tax break for the people going there, but also you want to kick over some of that money to the predominantly religious schools that are receiving those vouchers. It is unconscionable. The amount of money that they throw at the wealthiest members of society, the amount of tax breaks they send to the wealthiest people among us, is sickening. Privatize the wins, socialize the losses. Exactly, Catalina Gearbox. Public schools will be cut more and more. Yeah, and like a lot of people who are advocates for the school voucher programs will say, well, no, schools will still get the same amount of money, but they don't, because school funding is based on the number of kids that go to public school. So if less kids are going to that school, that means they get less funding. And if fewer kids go to the school, that doesn't magically shrink the school. You know, you still have to pay for all of the upkeep of a much larger school building with less resources. All of the school programs get hit. All of the teaching and teacher compensation, number of teachers, etc. All of the number of staff gets hit. Number of programs gets cut. You gonna cover the latest Matt Walsh stuff? Maybe. Isn't this what virtue signaling actually is? You're making it look like you did something virtuous, what you've done when you've done the complete opposite. I mean, the virtue signal is a way of selling the horrific idea, you know? My ex worked for a private school in Bellevue, Washington, which is Microsoft's neighborhood. Her job was keeping track of students there on scholarship. It's amazing as well the shenanigans the wealthy pull. Yeah, no, like, yeah. It's wild. Okay, we have been thoroughly derailed. Let's finish this video. How much is a living wage?
Watch the kids and drive their daughter to and from school every day.
Have a good day, sweetheart.
You should always try to appreciate what you have, you know. The prices of everything, of cars, of food, of housing, has gone up so much, and income has not gone up a drop. I'm making a decent wage for what I make, and there's a lot of people making a lot less than I do, and I have no idea how they're making it.
Staggering new inflation numbers out today.
While high inflation has been making headlines since 2021, it certainly is not the first time in our country's history.
Public enemy number one, inflation in 1974.
Inflation has risen steadily since 2005, reaching a 40-year high in 2022, the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics says. At the same time, real wages adjusted for inflation have only risen slightly. That's led to a growing call. And real wages adjusted for inflation have only risen slightly.
Cool. They and again, the inflation costs are borne by the people on the bottom. You know? The people on the bottom are bearing the cost of inflation. The people at the top, yeah, their money goes a bit less far, but you know, like that doesn't really matter to someone who has a couple different homes and a yacht. You know, that doesn't matter. Oh darn, we'll only be able to go for 3 weeks to Bermuda instead of, you know, the traditional 4. Oh, my stars and garters. How will we ever get by? The Jeffersons will think that we're poverty stricken. Miscellaneous and Celeste, thank you both for the follows. I appreciate that so goddamn much. Thank you.
That's led to a growing call to raise the minimum wage from $7.25 to $15 an hour. Congress has debated the issue, with proponents arguing it will lift people out of poverty.
No one should.
It literally will, but also keep in mind that we have been fighting for a $15 minimum wage since like 2010. For 13 years, people have been demanding a $15 minimum wage, to the point where a $15 minimum wage is still poverty wages. Like, in a lot of places in America, it would make far more sense to be advocating for a $30 minimum wage. Taxes on things that are needed would stay low, but luxury goods would be taxed heavily. You're stating that you are taxing everything at an extreme rate, which would be ridiculous. The whole goal is to make luxury goods like a yacht an extreme luxury good to be actually taxed. People still need to survive and live. Okay, if you're taxing extreme luxury goods in order to get all of your tax income, why wouldn't a rich person just go to a different country? Why wouldn't they buy their yacht in Mexico, where they don't have to pay that tax? Do you see why that's stupid? Do you see why that would in turn put the tax burden primarily on the working class? Like, if you're wealthy enough to be buying a yacht, say, why would you not simply fly to another country where you can buy that yacht without paying the exorbitant tax rate on that yacht? All I'm saying is it's a stupid idea, and we have a solution to that idea already, and it's called funding the IRS, because we know, historically, and from studies done on it, that every dollar that is given to the IRS results in 10 more dollars being given to the US government, reclaimed by the IRS from people who are dodging their taxes. And if the IRS can go after billionaires, well then, they can make sure that billionaires are paying their taxes. I don't understand this idea where, like, oh, well, let's just do away with income tax. No, motherfucker, let's just fund the IRS. It's a pretty easy solution here, without having to overhaul the entire tax system. Let's use other items like housing, for example. Oh yeah, make housing exponentially more unaffordable for people. I'm sure that will work out well. God damn, dude. luxury housing. Yeah, I'm sure Republicans will make a clear delineation between what luxury housing is and what poverty housing is. I'm sure the luxury housing will be something sumptuous like a mansion and not say like a 1-bedroom apartment instead of a studio. You're right, so that's on us to figure out. No, the thing to figure out is just funding the IRS, dipshit. Like, what I don't understand what your deal is here. Just fund the IRS, and it fixes our problem. Goodness. That's why we have these convos? It's not a conversation, bud. You're just like, well, what if the moon was made of cheese, though? That's the equivalent of your side of this conversation. And I'm here like, well, the moon isn't made out of cheese. You're like, okay, but what if we sent like a sommelier up to the moon and opened it up for tourism? Wouldn't that make it better? It's like, but it's not made of cheese though. We could just I don't know, open a mining refinery on the moon. That would make way more sense. And you're just like, okay, but what if we had the sommelier and like, I don't know, set up like a cheese tasting station on the moon? Like that's like the equivalent of what you're advocating here. It's a ridiculous solution to something that isn't a problem. Funding the IRS is decent, but it doesn't really get to the core of the problem. As a tax accountant, I could list a ton of things that need to be fixed. Funding the IRS is great as long as it's stipulated that the money goes to the large taxpayer division, but I do fear somehow it would go into targeting small taxpayers that aren't that wealthy and can't fight it. Well, yeah, of course it has to be stipulated that it would go to, like, going after the wealthy, who again are skipping out on $307 billion. The issue is we have conservatives sabotaging those efforts every step of the way. And the solution here is to make sure that the funding goes to the right part of the IRS. And obviously there are a lot of other things like closing well-known tax loopholes, etc., etc., etc. Give me reasons why funding the IRS would be a bad idea. There are no reasons why funding the IRS would be a bad idea. I honestly, I think that you need to bleed those motherfuckers dry. If they want to fight in court about not paying their taxes, then bleed them dry. Okay? They can fucking waste their money in court, and we will recoup those losses in court. We will take them for everything that they wasted on the litigation. When they lose, we will fleece them for all of the cost to the American public, and that cost will be put on them. So you want to fight in court, motherfucker? Okay, fight the IRS in court. See how well it does for you. Okay? You take the IRS to court, and if you lose, you got to pay those court fees. That should be real fun for you, shouldn't it? And making the cap gains tax rate the highest tax rate. True. Yes. Twykel, you have good ideas. You're a good egg. I like you. Catalina Gearbox, thank you for the $5 dono.
I know, let's make a sub out of carbon fiber and give billionaires tours to the center of the earth.
Not a bad idea.
Work as millions are doing today, 40 hours a week at a job, and still live below the poverty line.
And critics saying it will cost jobs.
If there is too much.
Well, you can't, if you are, wait. I'm sorry, you can't deduct it as a loss as a business if you are personally fighting the IRS in court. That's not something you can deduct as like a business expense. That's a personal expense. If the IRS is going after you, you can't deduct that as a business expense.
Of an increase too rapidly, they will be forced to shrink their workforces.
30 states and 4 territories have already increased the minimum wage above federal law. New York is one of those states, and lawmakers have gone a step further, tying future increases to inflation.
Yep, As a business, you can fight the IRS in court unless the IRS is coming at you, an individual, and not your business. Does that make sense? Do you understand the distinction between an individual and a business? Because the IRS would be coming after you, an individual. Scuffery. I'm so sorry to hear about your case of dumbassery. I hear it's terminal. I wish you the best. And I really, really hope that you go fuck yourself. They have to go for your business? No, they don't, actually. They can go after you for tax fraud. This is how the rich work? Well, the IRS can work different.
Howard Potter owns A&P Master Images, a design and printing company in Utica, New York. He didn't have an easy upbringing. Raised by a single mom, he bounced from home to home until he became a ward of the state.
As a person that lived in poverty at certain points, knows what it's like to go to food pantries, grow up in group homes, I didn't have someone hold my hand to tell.
I need to make this very clear. I have to work. The IRS has put out a report saying that the wealthiest individuals in our country choose not to pay $307 billion. Those are wealthy individuals, not their companies. So you're creating a hypothetical that is irrelevant to the problem that the solution to is clearly just funding the IRS. You're just like, but what if I was a business, though? What if I just put everything into my business? Well, what if I committed tax fraud by saying that I put all of my money into my business? Well, guess what? The IRS can come after me for committing tax fraud by saying I put all my money into my business when I didn't actually do that. No. Gravix, $307 billion. Not $3 billion, $307 billion. Goodness.
Tell me how to make something of myself.
After college, he says he was making good money at a factory, but he had a side hustle and a dream. So when he was 25, he kept...
No, I have to work. You aren't understanding the fundamental proposal or the findings of what I am saying to you. So I'm going to say it again very, very slowly. Individuals in this country with billions of dollars at their disposal underreport their income and cost the American taxpayers $307 billion. It's not that they are putting it into their companies and saying, oh, I only made $30,000. It's not that they're making deductions and saying, oh, I'm a billionaire, but I had like $1.7 billion of deductions. It's not that. It's not any of the things you're proposing. It's that they are underreporting their income. And if you are underreporting your income, that's something the IRS can go after you for. That is the research that they have done and has been verified by other sources. And then the IRS can come in and audit the fuck out of you. What's the article? My God. You know what? I have to work. You can Google it yourself. You can Google IRS report $307 billion. You can Google that yourself. I have wasted far too much time on you already. You have derailed this stream so thoroughly. That's a lot of money. It is. It is indeed a lot of money. Goddamn, dude. Yeah, this is a report from 2021. The top 5% of Americans choose not to pay $307 billion in taxes each year. This comes from the Treasury Department. Yeah. I have to work, clearly not living up to their name when it comes to trying to figure out how all of this functions or where to get sources for this. Yeah. Oh, additional facts from the report. This comes from Forbes, by the way. The top 1% of taxpayers ranked by income failed to pay about $163 billion in taxes last year, making up about 28% of total unpaid taxes. While the top 5% evaded $307 billion, or nearly 53% of the overall sum. Yes, exactly, Pendragon. Thank you for being able to put that succinctly. This is additional fraud beyond investments. Jesus Christ, dude. But what if they did something that wasn't tax evasion, though? Okay, but that's not the case. They're doing tax evasion.
Cashed in his 401k and, with hard work and grit, built his printing company from the ground up with his wife.
In America, we kind of lose focus on what hard work really is. We think 40 hours a week is all that we should have to contribute. And then when you look back at the early 1900s and even after that, most people were working 60, 70, 80 hours a week to be broke.
Howard likes to say his employees are family. He instituted a 4-day work week and pays them $1 above the current state minimum wage of $14.20 an hour. But when the state raised the minimum wage, he spoke up against it.
You're kind of leaving small business.
Oh, they're family to me, but also fuck them. They're not worth paying minimum wage anymore.
Business owners no choice when the state makes those mandates because they have to take on the cost. So they have to innovate and stay ahead. Otherwise, the only option is to keep increasing pricing and hope that their customers keep coming through the door.
Why does the...
Keep in mind, when business owners say they need to innovate, what they mean is they need to cut corners and become more profitable. They need to find innovative ways to be more profitable.
Increase in pay for employees automatically mean the product has to be more expensive.
It doesn't always necessarily guarantee that, but in most cases, if they have a high turnover or things of that nature, you got to pay to promote the job, get the next person in, all those costs increase.
Why is it that when a government forces a wage increase, that contributes to inflation, but when other businesses are doing it, forcing you to drive up your wages, that's not contributing to inflation?
Well, it's a very good question because...
Damn, he just got. Because of the invisible hands of the market, of course.
One, when you're doing it as a business, you're doing it in a timeline that you can afford to do it. So it's controlled costs. When the government does it, it's forced, it's not controlled.
Kanika pieces together different sources of income to keep food on the table.
I'm functioning on beans, I ain't got no rice. But how we make it work is put back what you take out. Got to put it back. As we get out there, we make it happen. We find a way.
Taylor works 30 to 40 hours a week at the bank at $20.50 an hour. This works out to about $2,500 a month. Kanika, Taylor, and Maggie all get some form of government help, like food stamps, Medicaid, and rental assistance. The fact that neither family can make ends meet without help begs the question, what constitutes a living wage? MIT has a living wage calculator, which looks at the cost of 8 basic needs in each county in the U.S. According to that, Taylor would need to make $37.97 an hour to support his family, nearly twice his current wage.
Yeah, by the way, this is why we need to start advocating for a $30 minimum wage. When I first started streaming, one of the first controversies, one of the first things that people got mad at me about was saying we needed to start demanding $30 minimum wage. Again, 3 years ago now. people got mad at me for saying we needed a $30 minimum wage. And that's literally not enough to even constitute a living wage in some parts of America.
I mean, it's surprising, but sadly, it's not surprising.
Yeah, you remember that shit irked? You remember? And it's just like, now the inflation has gone up so high that even $30 an hour is not enough anymore.
In Cuyahoga County, Kanika, who makes less than $20 an hour, would need to make $40.44 an hour, or roughly $84,000 a year.
Jesus Christ.
She says she's afraid to lose her benefits if she makes too much money.
Do you find, though, that the issue is if you make a certain amount, you won't be able to qualify for those anymore, but that extra amount doesn't replace the help you're getting?
It is exactly like that. They're going to take probably Medicaid, or food stamps. So now when you take my food stamps, what I'm trying to build is...
Yeah, no, one of the issues here is that, like, if you are living and you need to rely on Medicaid, say you have a chronic condition, and you need to rely on Medicaid, you can't make... You cannot allow yourself to make enough money to get off of Medicaid. Because if you do, you're fucked. And I know that there are people in this community, who are in that exact situation. We need, first of all, I mean, this goes without saying, but like Medicare for all, we need it yesterday.
It's gone. You're not allowing me to do what the program is meant for. And the program is meant for people getting back to stabilization.
Despite their constant financial struggles, Kanika, Taylor, and Maggie are doing what families do all the time, making the most of what they have. Kanika isn't immune from worry, but she doesn't let it rule her life.
You don't have to, just because you're living on minimum wage doesn't mean you have to act like you poor, or you have to be all down and depressed all the time. Find the light in the dark and just keep moving forward, because you can't stop.
All right, so remember that medical technician degree that I talked about Kanika having? Well, the reason why she pieces together these part-time jobs is because she has a felony on her record. She rented a car for 2 weeks past its due date. She thought it was paid for on her credit card. The rental company declared it stolen, and so now that felony is a red flag for employers.
And that
Oh my God. She thought that her rental car was covered for 2 weeks beyond when she was supposed to return it, and she now has a fucking felony on her record? Oh, God. Why didn't they call her? Yeah, no kidding. Why didn't they call her? Why didn't they do any due diligence there? Holy fuck, dude. And because of that, she can't use her degree? Oh my God.
That's just a whole nother level. There's a lot of people that they've paid their debt to society, but society doesn't really let them come back.
She can't pay for an attorney to expunge her record.
That says a lot. I want to focus in on the issue of government.
Put her GoFundMe on the screen. Do it. Like, holy shit, dude.
Assistance. It's there, but it's complicated. So
so there's like a solution available to her, but she can't afford the attorney fees to get it undone. Holy moly.
Talked about it a little bit there, where Kanika, if she makes too much money, she loses something that then unravels the very carefully constructed financial life that she's put together.
I talked to some of her friends. They're amazed at all of the different programs that she's been able to find, and she qualifies for all of them. But the idea here is, okay, I'm never going to get ahead then if you take away some of these benefits from me. For Taylor and Maggie, they're a little less savvy, I would say. I mean, they basically, that Family Promise organization is what pointed them to all these benefits, but they're really worried, for example, about losing their house. If they don't get the help that they're getting right now, those subsidies, they'll have to move.
What do they want government to do for them, basically? Do they have like a specific ask? Like if they had, you know, their congressman right there, do they have something, hey, can you do this for me? This would allow me to get back on my feet faster.
I asked both of them that, and neither of them had anything concrete. I mean, they're not expecting anybody to do anything for them. They're picking themselves up by the bootstraps, and they're working hard. I will say, both of them have student loan debt, and now neither of them are going to get any kind of forgiveness from those plans. That is something Kanika specifically was hoping for, which obviously now with the Supreme Court ruling, we know won't happen.
Lindsay, this was a terrific piece, and it really was interesting. The small business owner was fascinating. I mean, he really, I think, reflected the tension that a small business owner has when it comes to paying a living wage.
And he and his wife, after 3 years, just gave themselves a modest raise. So he's like, it's not like I'm, you know, out here living a grand life either.
All right.
I wonder if he's giving his workers a modest raise after 3 years. Probably not. Yeah, of course he's not. Yeah, no, of course he's not. He didn't even want to pay his workers the moderately raised minimum wage